All right, today we are pulling a very familiar tub from the back of the fridge and putting it right in the spotlight. Yep, we're talking about cottage cheese. And trust me, you're about to see it in a completely new way. So let's just kick things off with a pretty bold question. Could cottage cheese actually be the single most underrated food in the entire dairy aisle? It's so often overlooked, but the science behind what's packed inside, it's pretty remarkable. Okay, so to really get why it's an unsung superfood, we've got to start with the basics. What exactly is cottage cheese anyway? Well, at its heart, it's a fresh cheese, and the key word there is unripened. So unlike cheeses like, say, cheddar or Parmesan that get sharp and complex the longer they age, cottage cheese is served fresh, and that's exactly why it has that super mild, versatile flavor. And how it's made is actually surprisingly simple. First, you add an acid to warm milk, which makes it curdle. This forces the solid proteins, those are the curds, to separate from the liquid, which is the whey. Then those curds get cooked, washed, and drained, and finally, they're mixed with a little cream and salt. And that's pretty much it. But the real story, the reason we're even talking about this, is what's packed inside. So let's break down the numbers, because this is where it really shines as a nutritional powerhouse. Just get a load of that number. 81. That's it. That's all the calories in a pretty generous half-cup serving. I mean, for a food that's this creamy and this satisfying, that is incredibly low.
And this right here, this shows you why it's so satisfying. Just look at that breakdown. A whopping 70% of those calories come directly from protein. You just don't see a ratio like that in most foods. It's fantastic.
And let's zoom in a little more. That half cup doesn't just give you a solid 14 grams of protein. Oh no, it is also loaded with other essentials. You're getting almost a third of your daily vitamin B12, over 20% of your phosphorus for healthy bones, and a really good hit of selenium. So you see a nutritional profile like that, and it's absolutely no surprise that cottage cheese has become a huge favorite in the fitness world. So let's talk about the two biggest reasons why: weight loss and muscle gain. This is really the dual power of cottage cheese. On the one hand, for weight loss, all that protein makes you feel full and satisfied, which just naturally helps you eat fewer calories overall. On the other hand, for muscle gain, that very same protein gives your body the building blocks it needs to repair and grow, especially after you've been doing some resistance training. But here's the secret weapon, okay? Not all protein is the same. A full 80% of the protein in cottage cheese is something called casein. Now, unlike whey protein, which absorbs really fast, casein digests slowly. It gives you this steady, sustained release of amino acids to your muscles that can last for hours. And that slow release property, that is exactly why you'll hear about bodybuilders and athletes eating cottage cheese right before they go to sleep. The whole idea is to basically feed their muscles all night long, which can help prevent muscle breakdown and really support their recovery while they rest. It's pretty clever. But hey, the benefits don't just stop with your fitness goals. This humble-looking cheese actually has a few more health tricks up its sleeve. So beyond the gym, there are studies that suggest that eating dairy might help lower the risk of insulin resistance. It's also jammed packed with a trio of nutrients for bone strength. We're talking protein, phosphorus, and calcium. And that selenium we mentioned earlier, it's a powerful mineral that actually boosts your body's own antioxidant defenses. Okay, so you're probably convinced on the nutrition by now. But let's be real. The big question is, how do you actually eat it without it being, well, boring? Let's get creative. When you're making savory dishes, just think of it as a high-protein upgrade. You can swap it for sour cream on a baked potato, or use it instead of mayo in your tuna salad. You can even replace the ricotta in your next lasagna. A spoonful and scrambled eggs makes them so creamy, it's incredible. And what if you have a sweet tooth? It's just as good. Top it with some fresh berries and granola, blend it into your smoothie for a huge protein kick, or even mix it right into your pancake batter. The possibilities, really, they're endless. Now, as great as it is, it's really important to know that cottage cheese isn't the perfect food for absolutely everyone. And it's so important to understand the difference here. Lactose intolerance, that's a digestive problem. Your body just has a hard time breaking down milk sugar. And because cottage cheese is a fresh cheese, it actually has more lactose than H cheeses do. A dairy allergy, though, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a full-on immune system response to the proteins. So if you have a real milk allergy, you've got to avoid cottage cheese completely. So when you put it all together, what's the bottom line? Well, it's pretty clear. This isn't just some boring food from the back of the dairy case. It's a low-calorie, high-protein, super nutrient-dense powerhouse that can help with everything from weight loss to muscle gain to bone health. It's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Which really brings us back to where we started. Given how versatile it is, how affordable it is, and how packed with benefits it is, maybe it really is time this dairy aisle hero earned a permanent spot in your fridge. Something to think about.